If everyone would rise while the colors are coming in.
He's my best friend in 6 years. Es casi todo el tiempo.
Pero ese español es muy bueno.
Welcome, everyone, and if you'll now pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to now welcome the House of Ireland singers to lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare above bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'd like to welcome you all to the 2014 House of Ireland Lawn Program. And these are the Cameron Pipers, and here you go. Caitlin Edwards, and I'm the Queen for the House of Ireland, and I will be your MC today. And if you look on the back of your program, you'll see a salmon. Now, you might think, why is the salmon Irish? Why is the salmon on the back or on the front of my program? Well, to tell you all about that, we have Patrick.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful day. Ireland's celebrated fishing rivers, the Boyne and the Shannon in particular, have their place in the country's mythology. Finn McCool, celebrated for his great wisdom. One explanation for this is that he entered the hill dwelling of the fairies and drank a draught from the well of the underworld. Another tells how he caught his thumb in the door in Sligo's Curlew Mountains or in Tipperary's Slievenon. The door slammed, causing the goddess bearing a cup full of the Don Leon Imas, the liquid of inspiration, to stumble. Some of the vessel's contents splashed on Fionn's thumb, and he put it in his mouth to soothe it. The most popular account, however, has Fionn receiving the wisdom from the salmon of knowledge. No woman could ever catch this fish. One who tried, Shannon, approached the well of Conlaw in Cavan's Coolca Mountains, which the salmon lived. She tried the poacher's belly tickling method, but to no avail. The salmon splashed water with fin and tail. So great was its strength that the giant streams formed from the displacement. 9 of these flowed beside the 9 sacred hazels, racing in pursuit of the fleeing Shannon. In doing so, they formed the great river Shannon. They overtook her and drowned her and cast her body into the land of mortals through a large hole, still reputed to have no bottom. Lu Na Shiona. This is the river's source. Now, in preparation for taking over leadership of the Fianna, Fionn learned a little sorcery from Bobdol and some swordsmanship from Luaka, 2 of County Meath's druidesses, whom he lived for with years. His progress pleased them, but they knew they could never pass on wisdom to their charge because they were too ignorant. They consulted a wise neighbor called Finnegas, and he agreed to be Fionn's tutor in the arts and sciences. The absent-minded Finnegas never repaired his old hut and seldom changed his clothes and forgot to eat, save for some nuts of wisdom that fell from a magic tree nearby. These gave him great powers of inspiration, but he could never equal that which it gave him. Margie. But can never equal that which would give him for the first person that ever tasted the flesh of the salmon of knowledge. At first he refused the woman's request, but the nuts had given him enough sense to realize that since he was growing old, that the assistance of a strong young man around the place would be useful. So he agreed. For hours each day, the old man watched the Boyne flow by his holding. Fionn noticed him lying on the bank with his eyes almost touching the water. The young trainee did not realize that his mentor was watching out for the salmon of knowledge. Inquisitive people might question how the fish got from Cavan to Meath. They're told that they don't have enough wisdom to understand. On many previous occasions, Finnegas had tried angling, but no matter what rod or line he used, even the stoutest hazel and the gut from the Drogheda cat, the salmon shattered it contemptuously, flicking its tail, and with Fionn helping to cook, mend, do clothes, and shoes, the old man spent even more time hunting the fish. Fionn was a good fisherman too, and one day he caught 2 prime specimens and began making a meal for Finnegas. He cleaned out the fish, placed them on a spit above the fire, and as they sizzled away, Fionn prepared some garnishing. He hacked honey from a hive and ground fruit and nuts into it. The old man was very pleased. He was even more delighted when Fionn thatched his roof and repaired the walls of his cabin. The only thing that worried him was Fionn's skill at fishing, because he wanted the salmon and knowledge for himself. Time passed, and Finnegas instructed the ward in painting, music, and some less artistic sciences. Fionn absorbed all the knowledge, but Finnegas never told him how he would become the most learned man in the world. One fine spring day, Finnegas saw his prey stirring among the weeds in the bed of the river. Hastily, he assembled a rod and line and selected a tempting bait. The salmon of knowledge did not approach it, nor did any of the small trout. So Finnegas threw the whole apparatus in the water in disgust. As he did, the fish poked his head above the water. The salmon of knowledge, the old man shouted, and Fionn heard. Where, he yelled. The old man pointed. Fionn saw nothing but a wash, just like a big boat would leave. He remembered hearing something from Luaka about a fish that had great powers, but when he asked Finnegas to tell him more, the old poet became sullen and abrupt. He more or less told him to mind his own business. The kindly Fionn went deep into the woods and found a stout willow. He trimmed a strong winding ivy and fashioned it into a line. He then prepared a comfortable seat beyond the river and set Finnegas upon it and placed the rod in his frail hands. At the first cast, there was a thundering splash, a bite. The salmon was pulling the old man toward the Boyne. As the phantom fish sped toward the opposite bank, it pulled Finnegas into the water. Fionn grabbed his legs and using all his strength hauled Finnegas and the salmon back onto the bank. Huge silver scales flashed in the sunlight, almost blinding the pair. The fish whipped its tail in a fury and felled an oak and ash with its lash. As it struggled for life, it burrowed a hole into the bank that present-day archaeologists claim was a medieval passage tomb. Eventually, its life ebbed away, and Fionn set about cleaning it in preparation for a banquet, because everyone in County Meath could have dined well for a week on that fish. Finnegas forbade any immediate feasting, however. He told Fionn, "Eat all you like later on tonight, but I must be the first to taste the fish." The cooking took a long time, and Fionn built a spit from the ash that the salmon had knocked down. He used its branches to build a huge fire beneath. The fish's size posed a problem. The heat needed to ensure it was thoroughly roasted was intense. This caused large blisters to form on the skin. One of these rose among the bushes, and Fionn prodded it with a thumb, and it bursted. He burned himself and put his thumb to his mouth to ease the pain. So Fionn became the first person to taste the salmon of knowledge. Unaware of this, he made a huge platter from a shallow shale rock hewn from a nearby quarry. He placed the tempting pink steak on it and served it to Finnegas. The old man looked into his pupil's eyes. We do not know what he saw, but when he spoke in a soft, sad voice, "Your eyes glow with wonder and they look beyond me. You have tasted the salmon." Fionn denied this and explained about the blister in his thumb. "There is no further need for me, my young pupil. I cannot teach you nothing more. You are now the wisest man in the world, so go from here." Fionn went with a heavy heart, and Finnegas pined away, sad to have missed his life ambition, but serene in the knowledge that Fianna would have the new and powerful and wise leader.
Thank you, Patrick. And now to talk about a different Irish animal, we have the Irish Wolfhound Association of the West Coast to talk about Irish Wolfhounds.
Good afternoon. I'm Judy Hughes. I'm one of the directors on the Irish Wolfhound Association of the West Coast Club. This is Peter Brown, he's our treasurer, and this is Edward. And Edward's breeder and owner, Jeanette Fuller. Have to forgive me, I get in front of a big crowd and kind of space sometimes, so I'm going to be reading a lot, but I wanted to give you a brief history of the Wolfhound and where they are today. The Irish Wolfhound is an ancient breed, renowned in fable and the hero of many an Irish legend. Though there are many mentions of the great dog in Irish literature over the centuries. Many of these stories are fanciful to the highest degree, but it is possible to prove that some are historically true. The Wolfhound was originally known simply as coo, a Gaelic word that probably meant hound, wolf dog, or war dog. We will never know with any certainty when the great Irish hound of the later Stone Age evolved into the Celtic greyhound. We do know that when the Celts, a fierce and warlike people, arrived in Ireland around 2000 BC, they brought with them their giant hounds. As recorded in history and art, the dogs were highly prized as both war dogs and for their hunting prowess. They hunt by sight and were bred as hunters of wolves, boar, and the gigantic Irish elk, which stood 6 feet at the shoulders. The wolfhounds were held in such high esteem that ownership was restricted to kings, nobles, and poets. As such, they constituted valuable gifts for many centuries, and great numbers were taken out of Ireland. The breed came close to extinction in the early 19th century. The great prey animals, wolves, deer, and wild boar, had largely disappeared from Ireland. Our present-day wolfhound we owe largely to a Scotsman in the British Army, Captain George Augustus Graham. Captain Graham gathered the remaining specimens and restored the breed. His work began in 1862 and continued for 23 years when he set forth the breed standard. Minimum height and weight for the males is 32 inches and 120 pounds. For females, 30 inches and 105 pounds. Many are larger. Males usually average 34 to 35 inches and 140 to 180 pounds. Females, 34 to 34 inches, 115 to 140 pounds. Edward is 38 inches and 195 pounds. Despite their distant past as a ferocious war dog, wolfhounds are known as gentle giants today. They are absolutely not guard dogs. But don't be fooled, they're very devoted to their family, and another descriptive phrase is gentle when stroked, fierce when provoked. Recognized colors according to the standard of excellence are gray, brindle, red, black, pure white, and fawn. Wolfhounds are puppies until they're about a year old. They are not fully developed until 3 or 4 years of age. Edward will be 4 next month. The heartbreak of these majestic hounds, as with many giant breeds, is a short lifespan, 6 to 8 years. In my 32 years involvement with the breed, my oldest lived to be 10 and my youngest died at 3. Obviously not the breed for everyone. Despite his size, the wolfhound is a house dog. He has a strong desire for human companionship and is very calm indoors. Get through the puppyhood first. A sensitive dog, and harsh words or physical punishment will cause him to shut down. Irish wolfhounds are generally healthy, but again, like all breeds, are prone to certain health conditions. It is important to be aware of these if you're considering this breed. Now I'd like to open it up for questions, but I want to answer your first two. Yes, they do eat a lot, especially when they're puppies. And no, we don't have a saddle. They're not ponies. Questions, anyone? I'm sorry, over. Can't ride on them, No. Even if you're a kid. Yes. Over 6 feet. Over 7 feet, Jeanette says, so. Yes? Did you have a question?
No. It's just this way either of our feet.
Yes. If you're interested in the breed, I would really urge you to do your homework because they can have serious health problems and you want to find a breeder who does all the necessary testing. You don't want someone who's breeding Irish Wolfhounds so they can pay their mortgage. I would say an Irish Wolfhound, a show quality, probably will go $2,000 to $2,500. Pet quality is somewhere different. It would depend on the breeder. My veterinarian says, if you have an Irish Wolfhound, you better get yourself some pet insurance, which is probably true. And I have it now for the first time ever, so I figure nothing's going to go wrong. Yeah, and check for breeders, and for more information, go to iwawc.org, and there's a lot of information. Yes, sir. Only 6 to 8, hun. My oldest was 10. I've heard of them be 14, but that's the exception, not the rule.
Do they shed?
As war hounds, they would pull the Roman soldiers off their horses and out of the chariots because the Celts were foot soldiers, so that's what their job was.
Do they shed?
They certainly do shed. We have dust bunnies in my house that have got names at this point, so.
Beautiful.
Yes. The question was, what's the biggest Irish wolfhound there is? And I really don't have an answer for that, young man. I don't know. I know they can get, I have a friend whose wolfhound now comes in at 200 pounds. So he's probably the biggest one I've seen. We call him Jurassic Wolfhound. Anyone else? Yes? Are they big walkers? Barkers? No. They hunt by sight, so they don't usually bark, but when they do go after something, it's impressive. Yes. There are Irish wolfhounds in Ireland, and there are Irish wolfhounds in the United States. They are an Irish breed, though. Does she have a question? No? Yes. Do they mix with different breeds? You mean in a different household? They certainly do. I have friends that have Irish Wolfhounds and Border Terriers. Myself, I have Irish Wolfhound and a Leonberger. They're great partners and pals. And it's just a matter of raising them. You can't even have a cat if you start with a young dog. But remember, they're very prey-driven, so you've got to be careful. Anyone else? Okay, Edward, I'll let you walk around the stage. You can take one more look at this handsome fella. Thank you very much and enjoy your day.
We'd like to thank them for coming out, so here you go.
Hi, I'm Jo Daniels, and I'm here today representing the Irish language classes that we have at the Irish Cottage. And I'm going to sing a song for you today. The song's name is Báidín Éileamh, and it's in Irish Gaelic, so you probably won't understand any of the words unless you come to our Irish Gaelic classes, which are completely free, and we have a new one starting this Tuesday. But I'll tell you a little bit about the song for those of you who don't know Irish Gaelic. It's about a guy named Philemil O'Boyle, and he lived in the 17th century. And he was fighting with a neighbor of his, and he was losing. So he decided to run away to the islands off the coast of Donegal. And first he went to Gola, but then he decided that he'd be safer in Torry, which is further off the coast. But unfortunately for him, he crashed his boat in Torry and he drowned. So that's what that song is about. The first verse he goes to Torry, the second verse the first verse he goes to Gola, then the second verse he goes to Torry, and the third verse he crashes and the fish swim on board and he drowns. So here it is, Báidín Éileamh. Báidín Éileamh, Jimmy go Gola, Báidín Éileamh, Philemil an. Báidín Éileamh, Jimmy go Gola, Báidín Éileamh, Philemil an. Báidín Bídeach, Báidín Beosadh, Báidín Báideach, Báidín Éileamh, Báidín Díreach, Báidín Deontach, Báidín Éileamh, Philemil an. Báidín Éileamh, Jimmy go Torry, Báidín Éileamh, Philemil an. Báidín Éileamh, Jimmy go Torry, Báidín Éileamh, 이름이 스파이더미언 빠진 비적 빠진 벼락 빠진 다이아 빠진 나이는 빠진 지락 빠진 연딱 빠진 나이름이 스파이더미언 빠진 나이름이 브레스의 딸이 이스케일 보다가 스파이더미언 빠진 나이름이 브레스의 딸이 이스케일 보다가 스파이더미언 빠진 비적 빠진 벼락 빠진 보약 빠진 나이름 빠진 지락 빠진 땀딱 빠진 나이름이 스파이더미언. Thank you again, and I hope you'll come and join us this Tuesday, March 18th for our Irish language classes so you can learn more about the Irish language. 7 p.m.
And now as we're sweeping the stage, before we have our dancers come on, I'd like to give a quick reminder that we do have wonderful hot stew, as well as pots of shamrocks and leprechaun stones, as you can see up here, all for sale at the House of Ireland, which is right over there. Now before we start, I'd also like to talk about the type of dancing we'll be doing, which is soft shoe and Kaylee. Now the first one you'll see is the Pride of Erin dancers, and they'll be doing Kaylee, which is group dances. And they'll be in gillies, which are the softer shoes. And they look a bit like ballet slippers, except they have different lacing and they're black. And the soft shoe dances are a lot lighter, there's a lot more jumps, and it's a lot more graceful. And we have, after the Pride of Erin dancers, we have just regular soft shoe by the Malone Academy and the House of Ireland dancers. Thank you, Pride of Erin Kaylee dancers. And the next group we're going to have is the Malone Academy of Irish Dance. A big thank you to the Malone Academy, and now we have the House of Ireland dancers. How about you want to do this? Wait, after the why not just
Oh, now it is. A big thank you to the House of Ireland dancers. Now, before we welcome on these next performers, they're a little younger than the other ones, and they all come from the Kids Session class, which is offered every first Sunday of the month for free. And if you're interested in the Kids Session or any of the other classes that are at a low cost or free, the times and the meeting dates are on the backs of your programs. And here to introduce the song. So today we're gonna play Road to Liston Varna. So yeah.
No, I'm good.
Now this next routine you probably heard of. It's a little song called Molly Malone. I don't know if any of you know it, but if you don't, it's a sing-along and you can join because the program has a copy of the lyrics in it. And here we have the kids session along with the House of Ireland dancers, or singers, sorry.
Yes, I do. You have it. You don't want me to sing. I'll mouth.
Now we are going to be doing Riches Full of Stitches. Now, as you can see, we have dancers of pretty young ages along with musicians, and dancers and musicians can start at any age and just go up from there. Now, if I could have some of you guys come and introduce yourself and say how old you are. How old? What's your name?
Michaela, 5.
How old are you?
5.
She's 5. What's your name?
Nora, 6.
Hi, my name is Kieran, and I am 6. Hi, my name is Violet, and I am 8.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm Willow, and I'm 11.
Hello, I am Jack Price and I am 11 as well.
And now we're going to have a pee-wee reel with all our youngest dancers. And please welcome back the kids session.
Now I'm playing John Ryan's polka.
And now I'd like to welcome back the Pride of Aaron Cayley dancers.
Thank you.
Peters Hurling Club, and the Gaelic Athletic Club organization.
Good afternoon. My name is Colin Kenny from St. Peter's Hurling Club here in San Diego. And this is Tracy Rivera with Nafina Women's Football Club and the San Diego Gaelic Athletic Association. Yeah, we're going to talk to you about the main Irish sports of Gaelic football and hurling, a little bit about the history, how the games are played, and what we're doing with them here in San Diego. Hurling and also Gaelic football are the national sports of Ireland. I'm going to talk mainly about hurling because Gaelic football grew out of hurling later on. The oldest recorded record of hurling is over 3,000 years old, making it one of the oldest sports in the world, if not the oldest. It's thought that it began as a form of warrior training. You can see the stick that we use, called a hurl or a hurley, somewhat resembles a primitive axe. And it was thought that young men, before they would start warrior training, would learn to play the game, and they'd get some dexterity with the stick and whatnot before they moved on to it later in life. Before they moved on to learning to fight later in life. And then also in times of peace, it would be a way to keep the village people and whatnot fit and trained and ready in case there was a threat. There were numerous attempts, the sport was banned many times throughout the centuries, in the 1300s as well as in the 1500s, because if you're trying to subjugate people and whatnot, a good way to do that is take away one of the prime ways they learn to fight. But during that time, they also would keep Gaelic football. It was specifically exempt from those laws that would ban hurling, probably as a way to keep a diversion for the people going on. Okay, so with that brief history, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how the game is played. Again, the stick is called a hurl or a hurley, and we have this ball, which is called a slitter. It somewhat resembles an American baseball. It's got the same seam pattern on it, but instead of stitches, it has some raised leather seams so that the stick can catch the ball better. It's a little bit softer, a little bit smaller. The point of the game is to score more points than your opponent. There is a set of goals at either end of a long field, and out of the sides of the goals are two uprights. If you hit the ball over the crossbar between the uprights, you get 1 point. If you hit the ball into the goal, you get 3 points. So goals are much more important than getting over the crossbar, but it's also a lot more difficult to do. So with the stick, you can hit the ball on the ground, either side. You can also get the ball up into your hand a number of ways if it's on the ground. Raise it with your stick up into your hand. You can also catch it out of the air, like catching a pop fly in baseball, or you can catch it off the hop if it's bouncing towards you. You can deflect it with your stick up into your hand, a number of ways to get it in your hand. Once you have it in your hand, then you can strike it out of your hand on either side. You can also hand pass. You cannot throw the ball, but you can do a hand pass and slap it to one of your teammates. Finally, you can run with the ball in your hand, but only for 4 steps before you have to bounce it off your stick back into your hand. So it's sort of like you have to dribble. Lastly, you can do what's called soloing. You place the ball on the end of the stick, and you can run as far as you want, as long as you can keep the ball on there. And then if somebody comes and challenges you, you can get it back into your hand. So those are the general rules of hurling. There's not much more to it than that. Gaelic football is very similar in rules. Instead of having a stick and a slither, or hurley and a slither, you have it's about a volleyball size ball, and a lot of the rules are the same. You can't pick the ball up off the ground, but you can kick it with your foot into your hands. You can run with the ball in your hands for 4 steps before you either have to dribble it off the ground or kick it back up into your hands. You can't throw the ball, but again, you can hand pass like hitting it in volleyball. And the scoring is the same. So that's how you play the sports. I'm going to turn the mic over to Tracy, who's going to tell you a little bit about the teams we have here in San Diego and the San Diego GAA. Thanks.
Thanks, Colin. My name's Tracy Rivera, and I am the president of Nafina, which is the Warriors. Gaelic Gaelic Football Club. I've been the president for 3 years. I'm also the Southwest Youth Officer for the last 5 years. I'm also, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I hold 2 national titles for Gaelic football, and I apologize that I didn't bring a Gaelic football for you here to see. In addition, I was a 2013 San Diego Woman of the Year, all with the last name Rivera. I have Hispanic heritage, but I fell in love with the sport and the GAA, and I encourage everybody to give it a chance to come out and look at it, to understand more about it. And as Colin did a good job trying to explain the rules, San Diego, or at least the ladies, have a definition that, or a saying that Gaelic football, it defies definition. And that's because until you actually see it, it's really hard to feel a part of it and understand the rules. Colin went through the rules a little bit of both hurling and Gaelic football. It's a very fast game. It's very skillful. I grew up playing soccer, and Gaelic football, in my opinion, kicks soccer's butt hands down. But I know that that's opinionated, and I know hurling and camogie, which is the ladies' version of hurling, is also a very fantastic game and arguably the fastest land game played in the world. San Diego here has over 300 registered Gaelic athletic members that play both camogie, or play both football, hurling, and we're starting a camogie team this year. Nafina is the oldest running team in San Diego. We've been around for 16 years. I was part of the original board. And in that we have players, our team is majority over 40, so we're looking for new players, many of which are scientists and researchers, and 5 of which hold PhDs. We're a well-run group and enjoy the sport tremendously. We've held 2 national titles, 2004 and 2005, and they're Junior B champions during that period of time. Setanta is the next club. They've been around 12 years. They also hold national titles. We travel every year to the national championships. This year will be in Boston. St. Peter's has been around 2 years, and they're also 4 years. 4 years they've been around, and they're competing every year in the national level and doing very well and trying to grow their sport. One thing is that a lot of us are American born, and yet we have a love for the sport and for the people like none other. The youth team, we founded that 2007, and last year they competed at the Continental Youth Championships, which is the largest in the world. And last year they brought home 3 national championship titles, which was wonderful. Congratulations to our youth team. I'd like to share a little bit of how you can help and how we struggle. We struggle with growth. Spread the word as much as you can. Talk to people that know. Come out and see it. Look up on the websites that we have, SanDiegoGAA.com, St. Peter's, San Diego Hurling.com. And Nafina, NAFIAANA.com. In growing our sport, one of our biggest struggles is to try to tell people about what the sport is and how it's played, because we have no games that are played here, or very few games. Our closest competition is a plane flight away, and so we're trying really hard to grow our sport. We started a co-ed league that it's a social league, and it allows people to start to get involved and learn more about the sport, and then compete competitively and travel at the national level. Like I said, our youth program is very successful, and we're always recruiting youth players. And players start at age 4 and go up to about 12. We're trying to start a minor league this year, which would be under 21s. And so if you know anybody who would like to join in that, we're going to have schools compete against each other. Yep. Okay, I got one more thing. One of the other biggest things that we struggle with is fields. We're trying to get our own dedicated fields to play GAA football and hurling, and we'd love for your support in that. We have a bid in on Pond 20, which is down in the South Bay area, to try to develop, and we're trying to develop a world sports park. So please, I encourage you all to take part of the GAA, and I can only end it in with somebody who's recently passed away. Many of you may know Jim Foley, who is a GAA legend and a true scholar of the sport and the Irish heritage. Started the St. Patrick's Day Parade many years ago, and his saying was, GAA means everything, and I couldn't agree with him more. GAA does mean everything. Thank you.
So if anybody has any questions, we have a couple minutes left. We'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll bring on the next stack. If you do it intentionally, yeah. You're allowed to shoulder check people, so you can't hit them straight on or from behind. But if you're both going for the ball, you can shoulder check.
In ladies football, it is not. It is not considered a contact sport. We are not allowed to hit anybody. When you tackle the ball, it's an open hand palm. Both in men's and ladies, it's an open hand palm, but it does get a little physical, but it's not supposed to be a contact sport.
In hurling, the only required protective gear is a helmet with a full face mask, and then you can wear other stuff if you want, shin guards, cuff, gloves.
The only requirement, and it's just new this year, is a mouth guard. We mostly wear cleats, but no protective gear in football.
How big are the goals?
The goals, it's about 20 feet wide by 8 feet tall, and then you have two 20-foot uprights.
They're a little bit smaller than a soccer goal.
All right, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. Next, actually, we have a big tournament coming up over Memorial Day weekend, West Coast Sevens. It'll be our second time hosting this tournament. And that's where we'll bring in teams from Dallas, San Jose, Phoenix, San Francisco, Houston. They were the teams that competed last year. It'll be over Memorial Day. Kearney Mesa Rec Center is where we're hoping that they'll allow us to play back on the field again this year.
SDGAA.com has links to all of the clubs.
Thank you.
Now we'd like to welcome back the House of Ireland singers to serenade us with some traditional Irish tunes.
The first song we're going to sing for you is I'll Tell Me Mom. Tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pull my hair, they stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a Bella Belfast. She is a Horton 1, 2, 3. Please don't tell me who is she. Albert Moody says he loves her, all the boys are fighting for her. And up the door they ring the bells, they know my true love are you well. Out she comes as white as snow, rings on her fingers and the bells on her toes. Lady Murray says she'll die, she look at the fellow with her rolling eye. Tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pull my hair, they stole my comb, but that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a Bella Belfast. She is a Horton 1, 2, 3. Please won't you tell me who is she? The wind and the rain and the hail go high, the snow comes tumbling from the sky. She's as sweet as apple pie, she'll get her own land by and by. When she gets a lot of her own, she won't tell her Ma when she goes home. Let the balls from her say will, tell her Mooney she loves you. Tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. They pull my hair, they stole my comb, that's alright till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty, she is a Bella Belfast. She is a Horton 1, 2, 3. Please don't tell me who is she. The next song we're going to sing for you is Paddy's Green Shamrock Shore, which is a song about leaving Ireland and coming to America.
comfort my head when my son, which made me think more on the last sea I left on tiny stream Shamrock shore. We safely reached the other side after 15 and 20 days. We were taken as passengers by a man and led on in 6 different ways. And each of us drank a parting glass in case we'd never meet again. And we drank a health to Ireland and back in Shamrock shore. And very well, sweet lies of dear, and likewise to Kerry town. And twice farewell to my comrades both, to the world that saved it round. If ever fortune should favor me, I know you have much in store. I'll come and I'll wed the lassie I left on high green Shamrock
The last song we're going to sing for you today is The Irish Rover, and it's about leaving Ireland, but in a different way.
In the year of our Lord 1806, we set sail from the fair Gulf of Cork. We were sailing away with a cargo of goods for the grand city hall in New York. 'Twas
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
Thank you to the House of Ireland singers. And now we have the House of Ireland dancers doing a hard shoe routine, which we talked about earlier, how there's soft shoe and hard shoe. The hard shoes have fiberglass heels and tips, so they make noise, and they're a lot louder. Please welcome back the Pride of Erin Cayley dancers.
big thank you to the Pride of Erin Cayley dancers. And now we have the Malone Academy.
Part of the reason our lawn program is today is because it correlates to St. Patrick's Day. And part of the reason St. Patrick is so important is because he brought Catholicism to Ireland. And for that reason, they have a huge holiday named after him, and it's celebrated in Ireland and here and all over the world. And in Irish dance, there's even a set dance called St. Patrick's Day. Now, a set dance in Irish dance is the same all over the world. So the same dance that we're about to do is done the exact same in Australia, in Ireland, anywhere there's Irish dancing, it's the same. And so now, St. Patrick's Day. and I'd like to invite all dancers who know it to come on stage and perform it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, really? Okay. Awesome. All right. All right. Okay.
And now, as it's done in Ireland, the Irish national anthem at the end of the program.
Yeah, I know Ralph did either. All right, he was getting ready to sit down here, and here I came. You two turn off. I can take a nap where you
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today, and if we could have one more big round of applause for all the performers. And just before we go, I'd like to give a big reminder that there's 2 batches of stew left, and And the leprechaun rocks are still for sale as well as the pots of the shamrocks.
Are they free?
And to close the program, I'd like to read a poem. When Irish eyes are smiling and Irish smiles are big, when Irish hearts are hopeful and the piper plays a jig, when Irish stew is bubbling and the soda bread is hot, and Irish tea is steeping in a little Irish pot, when the room is warm with laughter and the songs are bright and bold, and there's poetry and magic in the stories that are told, isn't it a blessing, isn't it just grand, to know a little part of you belongs to Ireland? Have a happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.